A brief history of music broadcasting. Hi, this is Arnold Orozco. Today, I want to tell you about the brief history of music broadcasting. I will begin with a single name, Lee DeForest. He was one of the greatest contributors to the development of the radio. Lee DeForest paved the road for wireless technology. Before his patents, the only way to communicate electronically was via Morse code. Morse code was a good way to communicate at the time, but only a tone could be transmitted and no words could be heard. Lee DeForest is only one of many that made music broadcast possible. Edwin Armstrong was another important contributor. One of his patents was a regenerative circuit which generates radio waves. Harold D. Arnold developed the amplifying vacuum in 1913 that made the first transatlantic radio transmission possible. The first broadcast was accomplished by a man called Reginald Fessenden. Fessenden made a Christmas Eve broadcast to ships at sea. He played O Holy Night on his violin and read passages from the Bible. This was the beginning of music broadcasting. It wasn't until the 1920s and 30s that people began to either purchase radios or build their own. A couple of years later, live music could be heard on every radio. In between the 1950s and 60s, radio broadcasts changed from playing live music to playing records. At the same time, a man named Gordon McLeod noticed teens would play the same songs over and over on jukeboxes. Later, Gordon introduced short playlists that would repeat the same songs over and over. In the years to follow, music evolved from playing live music and playlists to different formats. These formats were soft hits, old rock, new rock, classic rock, disco, young soul, old soul, Latino, and many others. In later years, television had a big impact on how music was broadcasted. Music videos changed how music was listened and even viewed. Music videos came into effect a little before the 80s, but it wasn't until the actual 80s that MTV brought music transmissions to the next level. Television actually threatened radio transmissions. People would rather watch music videos than just hear music broadcasts. Cars and other forms of transportation help keep music broadcasting alive. Radios installed on cars, trucks, boats, etc. allow the driver and passenger to listen to the music that was being broadcasted. Around this time, radios developed a new format called Top 40. This format was based on a continuous rotation of short pop songs presented by a disc jockey. At the beginning of radio broadcasting, there were only AM stations. Years later, FM stations came into the picture, but were not as popular. This all changed around the late 1960s, when FM changed from the top 40 format to playing whole sides of record albums. At the beginning of the 1970s, AM radio declined dramatically. The low cost of FM radios, short bandwidth, and poor sound meant less people listened to AM and more people listened to FM radio. Finally, the internet came along and changed music broadcasting even more. Not to hear a song, all a person had to do was look up the song on the internet and hear it on their personal computer.